welcome to the Meeple Podcast. I'm Bill Price.
And I'm Hollis Biggs.
And today we have a couple of games that were picked up at Gen Con. So just got back from Gen Con, which was a raging success. 4 rock-solid days of just board game madness.
How many new games did you pick up while you were there, Bill?
Somewhere between like 18 and 25-ish.
That's a good rough estimate.
Yeah. So, and plus expansions and exclusive like promo cards and stuff like that. So, but today we have 2 reasonably small card games, which if you've listened to us before this, you know that that's sort of something that's right up our alley. We jam on these games.
Oh, yeah. And both of these are really good, I would say relatively quick games to play that keep you engaged and keep your entire gaming crew interested during the game. So I like them a lot.
I agree. And they both play like 2 to 6 players. So one of them's 2 to 8, but definitely they are both smaller card games. They're both reasonably quick, and easy to understand. That's kind of the big. We played them today, and Rules Teach was, I would say, quicker than normal.
Oh, absolutely. So, you want to kick us off and tell us about Vegetable Stock?
I do. So, Vegetable Stock is by Arcane Wonders. It's a reprint of a Japanese game that was popular but very, very difficult to find. And also not super attractive. Unless, like, you're into, like, I don't know, 2nd grade art contests or something. But so Arcane Wonders reprinted it with all new art. Otherwise, they left everything the same. And it is basically kind of what it says. It is a stock market game based on vegetables. So you have cards at the top of the board. There you kind of set up these cards along with where they rank as far as what they're worth. So they can be worth between $0 and $5 each. So there is a little card slider that allows you to determine what each vegetable is. Like your broccoli might start at 0, and corn might start at 1, and carrots at 2, eggplants at 3, and so on. And what you do is on... to start the round, you basically deal out face up in the middle of the table a number of cards from the deck equal to the number of players plus 1. So we played a 4-player game, and so we laid out 5 cards face up. This is an open drafting game. We have previously talked about drafting as a whole, the difference between open and closed drafting. So if you're completely lost on what an open drafting game is, you should go back and listen to that episode. And so basically, starting with the first player, they take 1 card from the middle. Each card has 3 vegetables on it. It could be multiples, so it could be like broccoli, corn, and carrot, or it could be 2 broccolis and a corn, or it can be like 3 tomatoes. But there's 3 spots on each card that have vegetables on them. So you take a card and put it in front of you face up. The next person takes a card, puts it in front of them face up, all the way until there is 1 card left over. That card in the middle is what moves those vegetables up on the price track. So if the remaining one is 2 corns and a tomato, then corn moves up 2 spaces, say from $1 to $3, and tomatoes move up 1 space, say $2 to $3 or something to that effect. So the market is affected. You're driving prices up based on what somebody did not take. So you're kind of trying to be strategic on using that card to sort of move up things, but if you take it, then it doesn't. It obviously doesn't move up. So there's kind of that fun balance there. And if you go over $5, which is the maximum, then your vegetable busts and it goes back down to 0. Now, of course, it can continue to be built back up in future rounds. This is played over 6 rounds. Each round is exactly the same. At the end of the 6th round, you'll have 6 cards in front of you, each with 3 vegetables. So you'll have 18 total vegetables. And you just count each vegetable whatever they're worth. Tomatoes might be worth $3. Corn might be worth $5. Eggplant might be worth $1. And so on. And that is your total score. And whoever has the most points wins.
It was a lot of fun, wouldn't you say?
I would say. I loved it. We, my wife and I played it at Gen Con a couple of times. Played it with my son too. So we've played it at 2-player, 3-player, and 4-player, and it plays great at every player count. At 2 and 3-player, you actually remove one of the vegetables. So this was our first time playing with all 5 veggies, which was kind of fun. Gave us an extra thing to think about. But it's so fast, and it's just so fast.
Yeah, not only are each of the 6 rounds very quick, because there's not a lot of analysis paralysis. You only have one of the few cards in front of you in the middle. So it's really not a super stressful game in that regard. But each of the rounds plays quickly, but the entire 6 rounds, I mean, maybe took us, 10, 12 minutes?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Sub 15. So this is a game you can just pull out, play a couple of times on lunch break at work. You could pull it out while you're waiting for dinner to come to the table. It's very quick, and it's so easy to understand. There's not a lot of rules overhead. It's very basic and straightforward, which kind of adds to its charm. A lot of games these days, they start out with this simple concept, and there's these 1 or 2 things that they just have to do different, and sometimes it can really convolute a game. But this one has none of that. There's nothing that you could. This is distilled down to just it's basic, and I really like that.
Definitely. It kind of reminds me. I know we kind of discussed this while playing, but this kind of reminds me of a similar card game that I played as a kid called Pit. Mm-hmm. It's another commodities trading stock market game. Yep. So they have a lot of similar attributes, but this one seems a little more modern, seems a little more updated, and it was definitely very quick and very fun to play.
Yes.
So.
And so this falls into the category of, as far as mechanisms goes, this is a what we call a stock market game. What a stock market game typically, the attributes that it has, so when somebody says, oh, that's a stock market game, you can expect that there is some sort of fluctuating marketplace where prices are being driven up or down or both by something that the player has control over. And the player is purchasing or trying to get rid of certain commodities of some type, whether it be, it can be really anything. But that's the basis. When somebody says stock market game, you're going to have buying and selling of something, and you're going to have a fluctuating marketplace. There are hundreds of these types of games that all kind of have a similar DNA, and I really like them. I think that these are it's a really cool genre. So
I would agree. So it kind of brings us to a good point here, because I think we both talked about how much we like this game. What is your rating?
I'm going to give this an 8, and because it is very portable, very easy to teach. It plays a good number of players, 2 to 6, so that's very common. From what I have, it doesn't have a big table footprint. The reason I'm not giving it any higher than an 8 is because of some of those same reasons. It is very simple. It's not something I feel like I could set up and play over and over and over and over again without kind of feeling a little samey. I feel like what it does really, really well, but it's probably a little more simple than my play all the time games are. So
I think that's a fair rating. I was honestly initially going to go 8.5, just because I do give a lot of points for portability and a small footprint. However, I think you're right. I think I would play this once or twice. At max, I'm playing this 5 times in a row because that would still take less than an hour to play. But I think that we are probably aligned here, and we're both going to give it an 8.
Okay, sweet. I think that's one of the few we actually give the exact
same rating.
Nice.
I'd be at first.
Yeah, raise the roof.
Sweet.
Okay, so that was Vegetable Stock by Arcane Wonders.
All right, next one up is Mojo. You want to take it away?
Yes. So Mojo is by 25th Century Games, and it was actually not on my list of games to buy at Gen Con, but the guy at the 25th Century Games booth really sold it. He's like, we're playing a ton of Mojo lately. That's just like kind of all we're playing. And I'm like, okay, yeah, he's kind of supposed to say that. But then the customer next to me started talking to him. He's like, yeah, we love Mojo. It's deeper than you think. And they start just talking about like this game and how much they love it. And I'm like, okay, either this is a paid actor and they're getting me, or this really is that good of a game. And I bought it. It was like $11 or $12. It was not like anything expensive or anything. But we ended up playing it. I've played it now 12 times, including today, and just in the last week. And it is rapidly becoming one of my go-to card games and it says on the box 3 to 8 players, but it also says on the box that a 2-player mode is included on the back. So I'm not 100% sure why they don't just say 2 to 8 players, but they want to make the distinction somehow. I personally think it plays just as well at 2 as it does at any other player count, so I don't think it loses anything in that 2-player variant. So I really like it. It's a card shedding game, which you're familiar with card shedding games, right?
Definitely. I am a big card game fanatic, I would say, at this point. So with card shedding, you are literally trying to shed most of the cards in your hand. In this case, once you get rid of, I think we play with 8 cards in our hand. We start out with 8. We're trying to get down to really as few as possible. You're trying to kind of go out with the amount of cards that you have. But once you get down to 3 cards in your hand, you lay them face down in front of you, and that kind of ends.
It starts the countdown to the end. Yes.
Thank you. Yes. So you want to tell us a little bit more about the rules?
Yes. So there are cards between 0 and 12. And there are also colors, but the colors are based on the number. So like all 0s and 1s are blue. All like 11s and 12s are red. All 5s, 6s, and 7s are yellow. So they're all grouped together in these color groups. And the lower the card, the more rare it is. So like 0s and 1s, there's only 4 of each in the deck. But 11s and 12s, there's like 8 of each in the deck. So there's definitely a lot more higher cards than lower cards. The goal of this game is to have the fewest points, as is often the case with card shedding games. So the way this is played is everyone has their 8 cards, and there's a face-up card in the middle of the table. Whatever that number is, you have 3 choices. You can either play a card on top of it that is lower than that card, anything lower than that card, in which case you have gotten rid of a card successfully, and it's the next person's turn. The other thing you can do is you can play a card that is higher than that card on top of it. You get rid of a card, but then you have to draw a card from the draw pile, and so you're not actually losing a card, but you're kind of exchanging whatever that card is for the potential for something else. The other thing you can do is you can play the exact same number. So there's an 8 there, you play an 8 on it. When you do that, that lets you take another turn. So you can keep going as long as you keep playing that same number. So if you have like 3 8s in your hand and there's an 8 right there on the discard pile, you can play all 3 8s and then another card. So that's kind of one of the ways you can sort of quickly get rid of cards. So like Hollis said, once you get down to 3 or fewer cards, you will take those points, whatever the card value is the highest card value in each color. So if you have like 6, 7, 7 is all you have left. Those are all yellow. And so your highest card is a 7. So you would have 7 points. After that, once it's face down, then everyone else continues to play as normal. Every time it comes back to be your turn, you flip one of those face down cards up. Once you or someone else flips over their last card, then the game immediately ends and we go to scoring. Scoring, again, is with the highest card of each color. Now, whoever flipped their last card up, or whoever goes out, if somebody can completely go out without flipping their cards up, that person would get the Mojo card, which has a 0 on one side and a +10 on the other. So if that person, whoever has the Mojo card, has the lowest score at the table when scoring is done, then their score is 0. If they don't, then they take their score and they add 10 points, which is a lot because we played a 50. Once somebody hits 50 at the end of a round, then you look and see who has the lowest score. The game's over. Look, see who has the lowest score, and that person wins.
And it took us 3 rounds, I think, for someone to hit 50?
Yes.
3 rounds.
Yeah, Alex did not play great in that one.
Bless his heart, that was so tough.
Yeah. Sometimes if you've got 23 points in your hand and you also happen to have gotten the Mojo card and now you have 33 points, but you're only playing to 50. Yeah, that's a rough round. So yeah, that's Mojo.
I really liked this game. I don't know about you, and I'm excited to hear your rating on this one, but I particularly like Mojo because, again, it's another quick game, but it has a little more, I'm going to say, complexity than vegetable stock. So I probably would reach for this one a little bit more. I also really liked the fact that the colors basically equate to a suit. Mm-hmm. So in this scenario, I came up with my own little strategy, and tried to, I think one round I was dealt, I think 3 12s and 2 11s. So I had so many cards in my hand they're pink. And they're kind of tough to get rid of because there's not much, unless somebody lays down another 12 and is trying to just get rid of that one high card that they have. It's kind of tough to get rid of those quickly. So I, as a strategy, kind of kept those and tried to get rid of as many like lower cards as I could, just because I knew I was going to get stuck with 12 at some point, and that was my highest of that entire color suit. So I was trying to get rid of the other ones that were typically lower than most people's discards would be. So, it ended my turn each time, but it still kept it moving pretty quickly. I was both fortunate and unfortunate to never receive the Mojo card. Fortunate that I never received a +10, but unfortunate that I never got 0. So I think my lowest I got in a round was 2. So not too bad. Definitely wish I had won that game. Came in 3rd out of 4, but handily came in 3rd.
I was going to say, first, second, and third were very close. All within like under 10 points. Mm-hmm. So I think they were within 8. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
All within 8 points. So now, of course, the person who ended the round and lost was like 28 points higher than 3rd place. So it wasn't a great one for them. But yeah, I really, really like this one. I've played it at this point so many times just in a short amount of time, and I just keep wanting to play it.
Oh, yeah.
So it was one of my super finds at Gen Con, and I can't recommend it enough. So that's Mojo.
Yeah. Thank you to the customer that, definitely let you know it was a fun game and that it wasn't you weren't just being sold to. So
yes. So what would you give Mojo?
I am going to give Mojo a 9.5, actually.
Wow.
It's pretty high, but I really enjoyed it. I know this one says it plays in about 30 minutes. I would say that time frame is maybe a little bit of an overestimation.
Yeah.
Or at least it was for us.
I find it more in the 20-minute range. But it really depends, too, on who you're playing with. If you're playing with a bunch of experienced players and everybody's only getting a couple points each round, I could see this going to 30 minutes. But it can be played... It can be played very quickly.
Definitely.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of analysis paralysis involved, which I really like because I'm pretty terrible at that most of the time. I just thought this was a really fun game, very portable, a pretty small box for all the cards, and it was a lot of fun. So 9.5.
Yeah. And one thing I really appreciate about this game that a lot of card games that have a 2-player mode but are more meant for larger groups is a lot of those games will be like, oh, when playing with 2 players, take out all of one suit or take out these cards or do whatever. And so every time you go to play with different amounts of people, it's kind of, there's like this maintenance load, but not in Mojo. It is just 2 players, 8 players. It doesn't matter. You're still using all the cards. And I do appreciate when a game can do that. I appreciate when that some games can't, just given how things are balanced, but I appreciate it when a game can do that. I'm giving this a 9. This is absolutely wonderful. I would give it a 10 were it not for one other game, also by 25th Century Games, that I have given a 10 to, or will give a 10 to, spoiler alert.
Oof.
But will not discuss that today.
Can't wait for you guys.
Spoiler alert, it's coming in the next couple episodes.
Yeah, can't wait for you guys to find out what it is.
Yes.
And for me also to find out what it is.
Okay. Yes, you will.
Awesome.
Probably before everybody else.
It's crazy how that works.
Right. Okay, so that's a 9 for me, 9.5 from you.
It was a short-lived streak of giving the same rating. So,
Yes.
of exactly one game, but we'll take it.
Absolutely.
We'll take the win.
Absolutely. Okay, so that'll do it for today. We would love to hear from you, your opinions, your requests, your feedback, positive or negative, preferably positive, but it is what it is. So you can reach us by email at themeeplepodcast@gmail.com, or you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at The Meeple Podcast. Or you can just go to themeeplepodcast.com, and there is a chat feature there that you can sort of let us know what's going on. So, I think that'll do it.
We'd love to hear from you. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening.